Endocrine disrupting chemicals, EDCs. For those who would like to learn more about EDCs, I highly recommend checking out Dr. Anthony Jay's book. Endocrine disrupting chemicals, or EDCs, are in the air, food, and water. In an urban setting, they are virtually inescapable. Plastics are everywhere. Traces of birth control are in the water. Pollution is in the air. All these different things are virtually inescapable. You should definitely focus on reducing your exposure to these things, but you cannot run from them entirely in an urban setting. DRT allows us to fight back against a polluted and anti-androgenic modern world, as well as potentially even counter the influence of endocrine disrupting chemicals in utero during childhood and development. You cannot go back in time and raise yourself in the forest. You cannot go back in time and not suck on a plastic pacifier when you're a baby. All of those things have already been done. The ball has landed where it has landed, and you don't have a choice. You have to play it. So we can fight back. We can do our best to mitigate our exposure to these things, and we can do our best to counteract and give us a sword to fight back in the war on masculinity, but we cannot run from this battle. Where possible, wear and sleep in cotton or other natural fibers. Avoid polyester clothing, avoid synthetic bed fabrics and mattresses. These things are small factors in terms of our overall day-to-day life, but they make a big difference over time. Limit exposure to pesticides. Eat organic where possible. Atrazine and glyphosate are two of the main endocrine disrupting chemicals that plague countries like Australia, the UK, and the US. So eat organic food where you can. Spend time in nature and breathe fresh air. This is a big, big key which a lot of people do not do. This has a pronounced effect on your mental health. This has pronounced anti-inflammatory effects. This has a pronounced effect on your microbiome, your skin microbiome, your oral microbiome, your gut microbiome. You need to be in synergy with nature. So go for a walk in the forest, swim in the ocean, walk on the beach. Do these things as much as you possibly can. You will feel better for it. I do not have a placebo randomized control study on depression, but if I took a group of 100 people who were depressed and I sat them under a waterfall for 2 hours a day in a group and they talked about themselves, they talked about connection, they talked about each other, they talked about life, and they had connection to community, they had connection to nature, that would make a difference for the vast majority of people. So think about where you came from. Think about your ancestry. Think about how far removed the urban environment is from our natural evolution, and think, what can I do to reconnect back with nature? Remove chemical-laden soaps, body washes, and cosmetic products. This is an easy thing to do. So get rid of any of the lathering shampoos, conditioners, body washes, hand soaps, detergents, all these different things that you don't really need. You can go and buy natural organic body washes, soaps, and conditioners. They are in most supermarkets. I prefer to use a tallow-based soap. You can get these virtually everywhere now. So throw these out of your bathroom and replace them with natural products. It is a small thing that is a very, very easy change to do. You can buy natural, organic deodorants, body washes, shampoos, conditioners at virtually all supermarkets. Many chemical additives, pesticides, and synthetic fibers and their metabolites reach the bloodstream and urine and impact the androgen receptor and hormonal enzymes. Your skin is like a mouth. Your body absorbs things, even things that you don't put in your mouth, things that you breathe in, things that you become exposed to will become a part of your biology. And all of these things, when you look at what these compounds do, they block the androgen receptor. They reduce 5-alpha reductase. They reduce luteinizing hormone output. They increase cortisol production. Now, they may only do it by 1 or 2% each, but if I add 10 things that increase cortisol by 10%, reduce testosterone by 10%, reduce androgen receptor activity by 10%, and reduce DHT production by 10%, you are significantly worse off, because we're looking now at compounding variables. So yes, the little 1 or 2% things may not undo a decade of damage, but we can move in the right direction. So these things are worth working on, but they're not worth obsessing over. Pharmaceuticals and drugs. Avoid finasteride, dutasteride, and other drugs and compounds deliberately designed to inhibit 5-alpha reductase for hair loss, prostate health. Jordan Grant, if you're listening to this, Jordan will know all about the fact that blocking 5-alpha reductase and reducing DHT is not good for your prostate, including minoxidil, saw palmetto, and ketoconazole. So finasteride and dutasteride are 5-alpha reductase inhibitors, extremely potent, used for hair loss, but a lot of people will avoid these and use compounds like minoxidil, selpalmetto, and ketoconazole. They are all 5-alpha reductase inhibitors. Yes, they may be milder, but if they're going to make enough of a difference to prevent you losing your hair, they are having other systemic effects. You are better off avoiding them. If you're going to be trying to do these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5% things to improve your androgenicity, improve your biological disposition towards masculinity, these things are hurting you. There is no point in doing these things which are trying to move you in the right direction if you're going to get in the shower and cover your scalp in ketoconazole, which, although it is minor and although it is weak compared to finasteride and dutasteride, is still going to move you in the right direction. It is a perfect example of 2 steps forward and 2 steps back. Avoid antipsychotics, SSRIs, benzodiazepines, tricyclic antidepressants, as well as long-term corticosteroids, opioid stimulants, such as amphetamines and methylphenidate. Methylphenidate is Ritalin. This is virtually all of the psychotic drugs that are, psychiatric drugs that are prescribed in Western countries. Antipsychotics reduce dopamine receptor availability. They block dopamine from working. Great to give to a psychopath who enjoys doing horrible things and getting off on those things, but they are unfortunately prescribed for sleep. So the average person is walking into the general practitioner's office. They're saying, I can't sleep. I'm up all night. They're overweight. They're not looking after themselves. They might be having 6 or 7 or 8 cups of coffee a day. And their general practitioner is giving them an antipsychotic, Seroquel. Antipsychotic. These compounds are not supposed to be given to the average population, and they will destroy your brain. They will destroy your health, and they will destroy every aspect of who you are over time. SSRIs, jacking serotonin up, is not good for testosterone. It is not good for your mental health. The monoamine hypothesis of depression has been heavily debunked, and even more so in the recent years. It's one of the reasons I dropped out of psychiatry at university. It is not good for your overall health. If antidepressants worked as well as they claim they did, everyone taking SSRIs would feel a whole lot better. And guess what? Most of them don't. Benzodiazepines. They might feel good in the short term. They might make you feel relaxed in the short term, but in the long term, you're going to create more of the problem that you're trying to avoid. You're going to get a rebound. So the direction that Valium or Xanax or Ativan is moving you towards, that you're trying to go more restful, more relaxed, more at peace, more calm, might feel great an hour after you pop the pill, but when that pill wears off, you're going to be further in the wrong direction than before you started. This is called a rebound. Avoid these compounds. They are neurotoxic. Tricyclic antidepressants. Unfortunately, doctors are still prescribing these. These are dirty antidepressants that were developed before SSRIs. Unfortunately, they are prescribed for chronic pain. They don't work very well. They cause side effects. Avoid these compounds. Long-term corticosteroids, jacking up your body's stress response to deal with chronic pain or other conditions, is burning the candle at both ends. It will not fix the problem. It will suppress your hormone production, and it will just wear out your receptors over time. You will become sick, dependent, and your problems will become worse. Yes, you may feel better on the day for a week, but take those corticosteroids long-term, and you will destroy your hormone production, and you will also be subject to the effects of chronic stress. Opioids work great acutely for pain, but long-term chronic use of opioids will destroy your luteinizing hormone output. They will make you infertile, and they will destroy your testosterone production. Stimulants. They might increase your libido. They may increase your mood in the short term, but long-term overstimulating your body will throw you out of your natural balance between your parasympathetic, your rest and digest nervous system, with your sympathetic, which is this fight, flight, drive response. Stimulants can make you feel good in the short term, but in the long term, they will impact your recovery, they will wear you out, and they have the potential to cause long-term neurotoxicity. Avoid research chemicals and experimental drugs that do not have long-term safety data, such as selective androgen receptor modulators. We don't know what these compounds do. If a compound has not been studied long-term in humans, do not be the guinea pig. There are better options, or avoid them entirely. Do not guinea pig yourself with research compounds, regardless of who says what, on a SARM website or on a forum. Avoid. Avoid daily alcohol, THC, and other intoxicants or inhibitors of liver enzymes. These things can impact your body's ability to metabolize xenobiotics, toxins, xenoestrogens, external things in the environment. They can also mess with your body's ability to create luteinizing hormone, which is the signal for your testicles to make testosterone. These intoxicants may make you feel good in the short term. They may not even have that much of an effect the next day that you notice, but if you chronically use them over time, you will change the trajectory of where you are heading. So avoid these compounds. They have long-term chronic issues. If you are going to use them in moderation and use them sparingly. Some of the safer pharmaceuticals, I'm not going to get hugely into this, tadalafil, Cialis, sildenafil, Viagra, metformin. This is subject to debate in terms of what metformin can or can't do to testosterone and androgen receptor function. Semaglutide and angiotensin II receptor blockers, so things like telmisartan, blood pressure medications. These things can be net positives to your health, but please discuss them with your doctor. Diet. 3 C's. Creatine, carnitine, choline. 3 things that you get in abundance from red meat. 3 things that are sought after and extremely beneficial for bodybuilding and sports. Creatine upregulates the androgen receptor and the production of DHT, which is 5-alpha reduced testosterone, and also known as I said before, affectionately super testosterone. Found abundantly in animal protein, especially red meat. It is also found in white meat, but it is much higher concentrations in red meat. Carnitine, L-carnitine, an amino acid, upregulates the androgen receptor. It is a dietary version of a SARM. It is found abundantly in animal protein, especially red meat. Yes, you can get it from fish. Yes, you can get it from chicken. Yes, you can get it from pork, eggs, and dairy. But in higher concentrations, it is found in red meat. Choline upregulates the androgen receptor and, most importantly, metabolizes xenoestrogens and phytoestrogens. And it is found abundantly in egg yolks and liver, as well as other forms of animal protein such as red and white meat. Vitamins A, E, D, and K all have pro-androgenic and endocrine modulatory functions. These vitamins are crucial for your endocrine system. Vitamin D is often focused on, a nutrient that we get from the sun, in terms of how it increases testosterone, or people say it acts as a hormone or a pro-hormone in the body. Vitamins A, E, and K also have extremely important functions on both the production of androgens and the synthesis of androgens. So substituting animal fats with industrial seed oils and getting equal the amount of calories from these compounds will create micronutrient deficiencies, because vitamins A, E, D, and K are found abundantly in monounsaturated fat sources and animal fat sources, while seed oils, which are the predominant source of fat intake for the average American, Australian, and Englishman, are devoid of these fat-soluble vitamins A, E, D, and K, as well as cholesterol. So the problem with excess consumption of grains, refined sugar, and industrial seed oils is that you are getting the caloric intake, but you are not getting the micronutrients that are usually associated with these macronutrients. So prioritize micronutrient-rich fat sources of cholesterol, vitamin A, E, D, and K, such as grass-fed organic animal fat, raw dairy, organic dairy, and egg yolks. Inflammation. Chronic inflammation reduces androgen synthesis, 5-alpha reductase expression, as well as dopamine production, synthesis, and upregulating dopamine reuptake. So what does this mean? Dopamine production, so the pleasure button from the stimuli that your body should make to make you feel good when you deserve it, the reward. Synthesis, so being able to actually utilize that dopamine that your body makes, and then increasing the reuptake. So when dopamine is circulating around the synapse and binding to receptors, it's doing dopamine things. Reuptake is the process of taking it out of the synapse and metabolizing it. So a serotonin reuptake inhibitor, an SSRI, it doesn't actually increase the production of serotonin, it just stops your body from metabolizing it, which means that you net more serotonin. So when we're looking at dopamine, if you're reducing production, you're reducing synthesis, so you're making less, you're absorbing less, and you're sucking it out faster. That is 3 different ways that you feel worse. Chronic inflammation, whether it's from chronic pain, whether it's from intestinal inflammation from poor diet, or there are other sources as well, such as being overweight, so greater than 15% body fat, and liver disease. These are the big things that I see personally, as well as postural problems. So constant low-grade chronic pain from poor posture will make you feel worse. It will depress dopaminergic function. Yes, you can put pain aside for a day. Yes, you can put these things aside for a day. You can have an extra cup of coffee. You can drive yourself forward to get over it. But over time, these things will wear you down. They will destroy your drive and they will make you weak. Being under 15% body fat is important for health. It is not a vanity metric. Just having abs for the sake of looking good with your shirt off is not the only reason to be lean. The leaner you are, the better you will feel, up until a point that it is very, very difficult to maintain that level of leanness. So if you are greater than 15% body fat and you do not feel good, one of the primary things that you need to do is reduce body fat. And I'm sure Ali is going to give some great talks on exercise and training, if she hasn't already. Excess body fat is one of the primary causes of health issues globally and is the primary complicating factor that I see in poor and incomplete responses to TRT. My experience as a practitioner working with doing upwards of 50 consultations a week for over 2 years straight, the main problem, not the problem that everyone has, there are plenty of lean people who have issues on TRT. I am not dismissing that. But the majority of people who do not get the results that they are looking for from their TRT is because they're fat. This is the primary problem. It took me the first 2 years of me being on TRT to realize that I needed to drop my body fat by 5% to feel better. That is a key factor, guys. You need to be lean for health. You cannot jack your testosterone through the wazoo and be 20% body fat and expect to feel as good as if you were 12 to 15% body fat. It does not work like that. Sorry to be the breaker of bad news. CBD, EPA/DHA. EPA and DHA are the 2 primary omega-3 fatty acids found in fish oil. And NAC, N-acetylcysteine, or glutathione, which NAC is the precursor to glutathione, which is your main liver antioxidant, are effective anti-inflammatories to support symptomology while the root cause is being resolved. So if you're dealing with poor mood, anhedonia, stress and anxiety related issues relating to chronic pain and inflammation, you are going to get, and this is in my experience, you are going to get a better response from a combination of these anti-inflammatory antioxidants than you are going to get from something like an SSRI antidepressant. So if your issue is coming from inflammation, resolve the root cause of whatever is setting that fire. If your body is on fire, you need to put the fire out. But to deal with the symptomology in the interim, so if you've got chronic pain, if your back is locked up, if you've slipped a disc and you've got muscle tension around that, using compounds like CBD, a good quality high dose of fish oil, and injectable glutathione can actually make you feel so much better, and it might be the factor that will actually get you to that yoga class 3 times a week. It will get you up and actually get you going to the gym. Or you can take these compounds before you train and you can actually unlock and mobilize those issues in the body. So look at the root cause of what's going on, address the root cause, and if you are going to address symptomology, be targeted, be precise, and be strategic with what you're using and why you are using it. Regular yoga, mobility, reformer Pilates, cardio, strength training, hikes, swimming, martial arts, and high-intensity interval training are integral in living a low-inflammatory lifestyle. So not everyone has to go to a yoga class. Not everyone has to go to reformer Pilates. Not everyone has to do, sprints on the cross trainer. But these can be tools if you are undoing years of neglect and damage to your body. You must regularly move. And my recommendation is, of all these different things, find the thing that you are actually going to do. Doing a yoga class once a week is not going to be as good as going for a hike 5 days a week. Or doing a hike once a week is not going to be as good as going to a yoga class 5 days a week. Find the thing that you are going to do and move. Exercise. Prolonged periods of being sedentary dysregulate the energy metabolism in both the body and the brain. A depressed brain is a low energy brain. Increasing metabolism is not going to get you off the couch. It is not going to make you go for a run. But the analogy that I like to use is that if you've got a car and the engine is too small, you can still get to the shops, you can still get to your parents' place, you can still go to wherever you need to go, but it is not going to feel as good when you put your foot down. So if you've got a car that feels good to drive, you're more likely going to go for a joyride in your spare time. So if your energy metabolism feels good, you're more likely going to go and exercise in your spare time because it makes you feel good. Moving more will make movement feel better. Positive feedback loop. Break the cycle. Muscle tissues increase insulin sensitivity and basal metabolic rate. The more muscle tissue you have, up until a supraphysiological point, which you cannot do accidentally, more muscle tissue will make you healthier. Dr. Gabrielle Lyon has great content on this in terms of muscle tissue being the organ of longevity. That is her quote, not mine. Both strength training and cardiovascular training have neuroprotective and anti-inflammatory effects. Building physical strength and robust performance has been shown to positively impact men's self-esteem. Being the guy who throws around heavy weight makes you feel good. It makes you feel confident. Going to the gym and squatting and deadlifting heavy will make you feel proud of yourself and make you feel good that day. Men are built to be strong. Go and be strong. If you are weak, become strong. There is a process of building strength. It is called progressive overload. Ali will tell you all about it. 1 hour of gym work 3 to 4 days a week is not enough for sedentary workers, especially with the drastic reduction in NEAT since 2020. So since a lot of people have been working from home, their non-exercise activity thermogenesis, i.e. walking from the car to the office, walking from the office to the cafe for lunch, walking from the cafe back to the car, all these little different things that don't involve just sitting and typing or sitting and being still, these things do make a difference, and they have drastically reduced since people have just gotten up, gotten out of bed, walked to their home study, and just sat at the computer all day. Yes, going to the gym is great, but if you're only doing 3 to 4 hours of exercise over the course of a week, it is not enough. So look at your daily activity levels. If you are sedentary all day, going to the gym every day is not going to be overtraining. Yes, you may need to change the way that you train. You may need to change the rep ranges, you may need to change your programming, but you may need to go to the gym every day. Hell, you may even need to go to the gym twice a day, depending on your activity levels. So find ways to get more movement in. I love audiobooks. Go for a walk, put an audiobook on, put a podcast on, find a nice nature trail, and go and do that a few days a week. It will make a huge difference. If you can get sunlight, if you can get education, and you can get walking all at the same time, then that is a very, very productive use of your time with a high ROI, return on investment. Another key, if you want to inject the optimal amount of testosterone that you could potentially make, you must exist in a way that your body would be maximizing its natural testosterone production if it could. If you do not work with your body, you're working against it. What does this mean? The human body is an extremely complex series of interconnected systems. This interconnected series of systems is something that Paul Chek, who's one of my mentors, has talked about a lot. So if you have hypogonadism, let's say you have primary hypogonadism, your testicles do not work. You can replace that testosterone production with TRT. But if you are overweight, if you are trashing your body, if you're drinking alcohol every day, if you're not looking after yourself, and you are living in a state in which your body would naturally be suppressing your testosterone production, and you try to override that by flooding it with testosterone from injections, it's not going to have the same effect. The receptors are not going to work properly. The metabolite ratios are going to be different. Everything around that is not going to work properly, and you are going to start fighting against your body. You must work with your body, not against it. You cannot upgrade your car's engine and neglect servicing the rest of the vehicle. This is a key factor. If your car is overdue for a service, so let's say and using the human analogy here, if you have been overweight for years, if you have liver disease, like non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, you're overweight, you have micronutrient deficiencies, you have postural problems, you have a vitamin D deficiency, and you go and jack your testosterone through the roof, it's just like replacing an engine in a car that needs a service. Yes, you may rip out of the service yard and the car may feel great to drive for that hour trip home. And then what's going to happen? All those other problems that you neglected, you're now going to put more stress on those systems. So if all the other areas of your car needed a service and you neglect them all and just put a sports car engine in there, those other issues are going to be compounded. You're going to make those problems worse. Putting a super powerful engine in a car that is falling apart is not going to fix the car. So what do? Where to from here? How can we practically apply this knowledge and maximize return on investment for time and energy spent? And this is the trap that I see a lot of guys get into. They will spend hours or thousands of dollars on stuff that is a waste of money and a waste of time, because it is all well and good to want to feel better. It is all well and good to go, I am going to put time and effort into improving myself and becoming the best possible man I can be. But where is that time best spent? And this is the thing where a lot of guys go wrong. The effort is not the issue. The time investment is not the issue. The financial investment is not the issue. It's they're doing the wrong things. And it's very easy to be sold and misled with a lie, such as snake oil and other scams, because fixing testosterone, increasing testosterone is a very, very marketable thing. So there are lots of pitfalls that you need to avoid. So I've laid out my 5-step process. Step 1, reverse engineer becoming the best version of yourself. What does this mean? What does reverse engineering mean? If I have a problem, solving the problem can often mean going, okay, this is my desired outcome. This is where I'm at now. How do I work backwards? What are the steps I need to take? Not in terms of what is the first step, what's the last step, and how do I work backwards? This is one of the best ways to become the best version of yourself, is going, okay, what would my final form, what would the best version of me, what would that guy do when he wakes up in the morning? What would his daily routine be? What would his weekly routine be? What would his workout look like? How strong is he? What are his relationships like? What's his family like? What kind of house does he live in? What does he wear? How does he think? What does he do? All these different things. Create that avatar. Create that this is the best version of me, and then go, what are the smallest steps I can take every day, every week, every month to close the gap between where I'm at now and where I want to be. And the thing is that creating small incremental steps is going to get you to your goal and is going to get you there faster than immediately just trying to get there overnight. Understand and accept that you must play the ball where it lands. If you are currently obese, if you are currently down and out, if you are currently having a hard time, I am sorry to hear that, but that is where the ball has landed and you don't have a choice. What is your other option? You have to play the ball. You have to play it where it lands. If you're playing sport and the ball lands in a big, fresh, steaming pile of dog shit, you have to pick the ball up and play it. You don't have a choice. So play the ball where it's landed. Victim mentality will get you nowhere. Expecting and requesting special treatment will get you nowhere because you don't deserve it. You have to do the work just like everyone else. So some people have been dealt a worse hand than others. Some people have the deck of cards stacked against them. Overcome it. Overcome it. Create a story that's worth telling. The more adversity you have, the more opportunity you have to overcome. The more opportunity you have to leave a legacy. The more opportunity you have to create a ripple in space-time, to be able to overcome and to become someone or become a force of nature that people look at and go, wow, I couldn't do that. So inspire yourself, inspire other people, be proud of yourself. Take radical positive action to make your TRT work for you. So if you want to become a masculine man, if you want to have all the outcomes of having high testosterone, you must go and do things to make your testosterone work better for you. Eat better food, move more, get sunlight, have a positive community of people who care about you that you care about. Create value. Have a network of people that you can provide value to and they can provide value to you. There are so many different aspects that you can work on and create positive action to make your hormone replacement therapy work better for you. This idea that it is just going to do everything for you, I can assure you, as someone who's been down this road and has worked with hundreds and hundreds of guys in the same position, it will not get you where you want to go on your own. The bubble must be burst. Measure progress and how far you've come, not how far you are from your goal. So again, if your goal is 8 steps away and you're on step 2, don't view yourself as the person who's 6 steps away from where you want to be. View yourself as the person who's 2 steps from where you started. And continue to step up. Be a better version of yourself this week than you were last week, this month and last month. I love New Year's resolutions. I love looking back on my birthday at where I was the previous year, where I was the previous New Year's, and went, I'm better. I'm further. I've progressed. If I ever got to a New Year's and I had regressed where I was the previous year, I would not let myself live that down. So be accountable to yourself. Be better than you were yesterday. Be better than where you were last week. And measure yourself as a work in progress. We are all a work in progress. So measure where you've come from, measure where you're at, and measure where you're going, not measure how far you are from where you want to be. And this is one of my favorites. Give yourself a reason to be proud of yourself. So it's all well and good for other people to be proud of you, but you've got to be proud of yourself. And taking pride in the things that you do, taking pride in the man that you are, requires that you do things and that you are someone who deserves pride. A lot of people who feel like shit don't deserve to be proud of themselves because they haven't done the work. And that is a good point to be at, because that is, you are at rock bottom. You are at the point where there is only up from here. So put the work in and give yourself a reason to be proud. If you're obese, if you are struggling, if you're in a shit situation, at least go to bed at night and say, I am proud of the work I did today to get to where I want to be. I put the 1% progress in, that if I make another 1% progress every day, I will be 100% better in 100 days. Key. Many guys are too complacent. Many guys are too impatient. Testosterone takes time and effort to work, not one or the other. That's a key. It takes time and work to undo years of psychological and physiological damage and maladaptive processes from hypogonadism. That is okay. A lot of guys are impatient, or a lot of guys want to give it time and not put the work in, and you have to do both. Be 1% better every day. This is such an important point. There's so many guys out there who are trying to fix the problem or expedite the results by taking this supplement or changing this many milligrams of TRT, or going from 3 injections a week to daily injections, or going from daily injections to a transscrotal cream, or adding in 50 milligrams of transscrotal cream every morning onto their injection profile. The deficit that you have is work. Do the work. Give it time. Progressively overload outside the gym. So I am a huge fan of logging your workouts. I'm a huge fan of I'm not sure what the pounds are, but 0.5 kilo microplate. So whenever I travel or whenever I go to the gym, I've got 0.5 kilo microplates in my bag, because the smallest plates they have at the gym are 1.25 kilos. And I'm not sure what that is in pounds, but for movements like the overhead press, for movements like the bent over row, or for me, the movements like the Romanian deadlift, which I had a lot of problems with due to my injuries, it was too big of a jump in weight. So I liked that, taking that small microplate with me, because every time I went to the gym, if I followed my workout structure, if I followed my logs, I beat who I was yesterday. So I was always competing against myself and always getting stronger in a sustainable way. And you can apply that same concept to life. So adopt small compounding habits and processes through diet and lifestyle incrementally over time to achieve the metamorphosis that you are looking for. So if you want to, as I said, reverse engineer that process. So look and go, okay, this week, what can I do every single day that I'm not previously doing that is going to help me? Maybe I'm going to have a more nutritious breakfast. Maybe I'm going to get up and do a 30-minute walk every morning. Maybe I'm going to get morning sunlight every morning. Maybe I'm going to do a 10-minute meditation before I go to bed. if you try to do all those things every single day from zero, it's probably not going to be sustainable when the motivation wears off. So week 1, 30-minute walk first thing in the morning. Week 2, getting extra sun exposure. Week 3, 10-minute meditation before bed. Compounding factors, because if you go, okay, all I need to do this week is just do a 10-minute meditation before I go to bed and make that into a habit, that is a much easier thing to consistently do over time. Finally, you are the dominant bloodline. You are the descendants of those who overcame every adversity since the dawn of human time. You are the peak of human evolution. You are the modern expression of nature's apex predator, so live up to your potential. You and I are here today. I am here speaking, and you are here listening because our ancestors are the dominant bloodline. Every famine, every war, every battle, every plague, everything that has challenged the human evolution, your bloodline is the one that survived. You were on the victorious side. Your ancestors were on the victorious side of every single adversity that they faced. That is such a powerful thing to understand because you have that in your DNA. You are the dominant bloodline. The other bloodlines died. They all died off. You are here for a reason. You have the genetic potential to overcome everything that they overcame and more. So live up to that potential. Do the work. You have so much potential and capacity. You just need to put the work in. Make your ancestors proud. Be the most powerful expression of Mother Nature's apex predator. You are at the top of the food chain. Your bloodline survived. You are here for a reason. So live up to that potential, embody that, be proud of who you are, be the most powerful, most capable man of your bloodline, be able to look back on every single one of your grandfathers and go, I am better, I'm stronger, I'm faster, I'm smarter, and I am more equipped. Be the best version of yourself. Do not devolve from your previous ancestry. Evolve, become better, become stronger. These are my favorite top 12 resources that I have come across in the last decade. These are the books, these are the podcasts, these are the mentors and teachers that were the most instrumental in my own journey that I would like to share with you. So I'm going to go through them all one by one. Jocko Willink and Leif Babin, Extreme Ownership audiobook. This is an awesome book. I love the audio version because they narrate it. I love audiobooks where the author narrates it. I think it's very, very powerful. This book is a great example of they basically go through military experiences and then they talk about their coaching experiences with business. There's a lot of really good lessons and examples in here that I think a lot of guys can learn a lot from in terms of taking responsibility for yourself. If you take responsibility for where you're at, then you have the responsibility and you have the accountability to make change because you completely absolve any kind of victim mentality because you are the owner of your own circumstances. David Goggins, Can't Hurt Me, or his first Joe Rogan podcast. The first Joe Rogan podcast is like a summarized version of his audiobook. The audiobook's great because there's an interview back and forth between him and the author. Phenomenal story of overcoming, not just overcoming adversity, but overcoming adversity and becoming something that most people couldn't even imagine. So phenomenal journey. Rollo Tomasi, The Rational Male. I love the audiobook. His first interview on Fresh and Fit podcast is great as well. Huge fan of Rollo's work. It must be approached with emotional maturity. So this is a great book for people to read, particularly guys who've gone through relationship issues. Wes Watson, he's got various interviews on YouTube. Phenomenal source of motivation, phenomenal story of someone who spent over a year in solitary confinement, over a decade in prison, and transcended their own consciousness in terms of becoming the best version of themselves. Highly recommend checking out Wes. Sean T. Smith, The Tactical Guide to Women audiobook. Phenomenal narrator for this audiobook. Phenomenal example of positive masculine psychology in relationships. So Sean T. Smith is I believe he's a relationship counselor or a relationship psychologist, but he's talking about a lot of concepts in terms of how to tactically deal with women in a positive way, how to move towards positive relationships with women. Jay Campbell, The TOT audiobook, the first version is a great introduction to TRT, and the expanded edition is a great physical encyclopedia of everything related to TRT. Phenomenal resource to have to refer back to. David Dieta, The Way of the Superior Man, great way to look at relationships, great way to look at sexuality. I don't recommend that people take everything in that book 100% to heart, but it's a great thing to read and be exposed to. Kyle Kingsbury's first solo-sode podcast. Kyle Kingsbury podcast, scroll all the way back. I think it's episode 3, episode 4. It's called Solo-sode. He is telling his story, phenomenal story, very emotional story, very inspiring story of someone who has overcome some very, very challenging things and has lived to tell the tale and is very, very inspiring. Paul Chek, How to Eat, Move, and Be Healthy. Paul is one of the OGs of fitness. How to Eat, Move, and Be Healthy is a phenomenal, it's almost a textbook in terms of looking at the body as a series of interconnected systems and looking at physical, mental, and spiritual performance. Andrew Tate, his interview with a psychologist, I can't remember the psychologist's name, but if you search Andrew Tate psychologist interviews, I am a huge fan of this particular interview. I'm a huge fan of Tate's work in general. This interview is, I think, one of the best compilations of everything that he talks about. The TRT and Hormone Optimization channel on YouTube, videos from myself, all the speakers at this event, most of the speakers at this event. Great resource for if you go on the TRT and Hormone Optimization channel on YouTube and you search any topic, there are videos from myself and other speakers at this event to answer every single question. Guys, if you have specific nuanced questions on TRT or specific topics, they've already been answered. Just give it the time. Go on the YouTube channel and educate yourself. My friend Daddy Bossa has a great podcast as well. Phenomenal guests, phenomenal interviews on there. And he talks about some subjects that haven't been talked about on other platforms. So that is my speech. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found that valuable. If you would like to access any of the information from the slides, any of the references, please just let Ali know and I will be glad to provide any kind of resource material. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the Silverback Summit, and I will see you for the Q&As and roundtable discussions later in the event. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you very much for your attention, and enjoy the rest of your day.